Welcome to part 2, and thank you for staying with us. Now, before we go into what exactly happened in Kenya, let's take a quick look, because there are a lot of questions I'm sure in your minds as to exactly what is the illegal thing that was done here. Yeah, because if there's no illegality, then really we're wasting time, and the name of this company should not be on everybody's lips. Yeah, Cambridge Analytica should not be on everybody's lips if there's no strong illegalities that they can be cornered on. Now allow me to move from the term illegal to the term immoral. Okay? Now most immoral things, virtually all immoral things are illegal. Okay? It is immoral to hate somebody and just go and kill them. Yeah? It is illegal. Yeah, you end up doing something illegal. So let's dwell on the immoral, because that's how big this Cambridge Analytica thing is. And to be able to grasp it, let's dwell on the immoral. Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to influence people to buy your product. There's nothing wrong with trying to influence people to vote for you. That is normal. That has been happening for a long time, for centuries. Okay? However, it is immoral to manipulate people. And it doesn't matter if you're using cutting-edge technology to be able to manipulate people. It is still immoral. It is wrong. And if you manipulate people, you can be sure that you'll end up doing a lot of illegal things in that effort. Okay? It is immoral to spread false information about somebody. Okay? It's downright immoral. Yeah? Now, of course, this also ends up being illegal, because you'll end up in things like defaming people's character. Defamation laws are there, yeah, in virtually every country, and so on and so forth. It is immoral to bribe people to do what you want them to do, especially if you're bribing people to subvert democracy and justice. Now, it is illegal in the UK to bribe foreign officials. Indeed, people have been jailed for that. It is also illegal in the United States of America, and it's illegal in a lot of Western countries to bribe a foreign official. Now, according to legal experts, this final bit is where Cambridge Analytica are going to have massive legal problems. And that is because there's video evidence that is what they actually do. There's video evidence where they say that is what they actually do all over the world. And therefore, we can safely assume, because it has been confirmed that Cambridge Analytica were in Kenya, that is something they also did in Kenya. Now, we already know from all that we have heard that this was a company which was very aggressive. This was an organization which was very aggressive in meeting its objectives, in getting its candidate elected. Okay, the client who has hired them. And in their eagerness, we have already seen morality was not an issue as far as they were concerned. In other words, they were ready to go to any length, in order to meet the objective. Now, this is where the issue of prostitutes comes in. Again, this organization is on record as saying they use prostitutes to get the objectives fulfilled. Now, this is a very old trick as far as intelligence gathering is concerned. In the Bible, we see there was a woman called Delilah who was used by the enemies of Samson to get information out of him. And Samson was a very strong man. Yeah, he was a tough guy. Okay? And this information did not come out very easily. But we know how the story went. Finally, he succumbed. Finally, this information came out. This vital intelligence information came out, which was what was required to finish this very strong man called Samson. Now, let me assure you that the same tactics are being used by intelligence organizations all over the world, even as I make this recording. It is a very popular method. And the reason why it's popular is that it's extremely effective. Let me just leave it at that. Now, let's come very quickly back to Kenya. Okay? And let's go back to the year 2003. As I was doing research for this series, I came across this very old information which I had received, which was filed away in my Kumekucha documents. And it hit me very hard. The year was late 2003 or early 2004. Okay, Uhuru Kenyatta had just lost the 2002 elections to Mwai Kibaki. Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, was vying as a candidate for KANU. At the time, Uhuru Kenyatta was leader of the official opposition, okay, under the old constitution. In an office along Valley Road, in a building called Chancery Towers, Uhuru Kenyatta had an office. And the office was full of wazungus seated behind computers. Now, I got this information before I started the Kumekucha blog in 2005. But immediately I started the blog. Actually, I launched the blog by following up on a lot of these snippets of information that I had received, not knowing that I was going to use them on a blog, a political blog at that. And I converted a lot of them into very useful articles which build up the Kumekucha name and the Kumekucha brand. And of course, this was one of the snippets of information that I followed up very aggressively. The first question was, what were these wazungus doing? Now, according to the information I was able to gather at that time, the speculation was that these were PR experts, public relations experts, and their work was to try and plug in the name of their candidate in as many places as possible and build up his popularity in readiness for the 2007 general elections. Now, in view of recent developments, this is very interesting information. And of course, the immediate question that comes to mind is that all they are doing? What kind of PR were they doing? Okay? What kind of PR were they doing that could not be done by a local person? And indeed better by a local person, because local people are able to plug in names and to get press releases much easier than foreigners because they have contacts with the local press. These were just foreigners from outside the country. Well, one could argue that the candidate was trying to build his international profile, okay, and that's acceptable. That's a possibility. However, a room full of mzungus would be an overkill, don't you think? One foreigner, one mzungu would be enough for that. Anyway, let's move on. But before I do, for the purposes of setting the record straight and setting the history straight, what happened is that Uhuru Kenyatta never made it to the 2007 elections. Before those elections, he abandoned the opposition and supported Mwai Kibaki's re-election for 2007. Okay? And he ended up remaining a senior member, a very senior member of the Kibaki Administration until Kibaki left office. Anyway, let's quickly come to 2017. And let's start with one of the big puzzles for me as we went into the 2017 general elections. Okay? Now, I wrote a book called Mystery Monday. I wrote that soon after the 2013 elections. And in that book, I detail the history of election fiddling in Kenya. Now, the way it was done in Moi days is that the intelligence community and local people were used. Never ever foreigners. And it made plenty of sense. Even with detailed research, there's some decisions you have to make which have to be based on gut feeling. Your gut has to make the final decision. You already have the information. There are various options you can take. You choose an option, and most of the options are similar. You choose an option and you put in the details based on your knowledge of the country and your gut feeling. That a foreigner can never have. That is how Moi did it. Now, one of the big puzzles as we went into the elections that I had was that the government, and indeed this has come out very clearly on this channel if you check the earlier recordings going to the elections, were the unprecedented security arrangements being made in preparation for the elections. The story we were given was that after the 2007 troubles, the government was not taking any chances. Okay? They wanted to make sure that this tribal demon did not cause chaos in Kenya as a result of the elections. Now that sounded right, except for one simple fact. The country had had peaceful elections in 2013, the previous elections. And to make matters worse, or to make this thing even more puzzling, the candidates were exactly the same. Exactly the same. The person running for president and deputy president on the Jubilee side was the same. The person running in the opposition side, the two individuals for president and vice president, Kalonzo Musyoka for deputy president and Raila Odinga for president, were the same as 2013. So what was different about 2017? What was so different about 2017 to make necessary these unprecedented security arrangements? Training of intelligence officers, training of the military, training of the police. Gosh, it was just crazy. Not to mention the anti-riot hardware the government purchased. You know, those big cars with water hoses and armored cars, to deal with the rioters. I mean, it just sent chills down the spine of Kenyans. It just sent fear down the spine of Kenyans. Kenyans wondered, what is this all about? Now, this next bit of information is highly sensitive, and I'm afraid we cannot share it on this open channel, okay, for legal reasons and other reasons, okay. But you can still obtain this information if you're a member of Club 1999, which is a private club which shares this information, with this kind of sensitive information, yeah. And if you're not yet a member, there are details on your screen right now on how you can become a member, okay. All you need to do is send an email address, a blank email to that email address you see, and you'll be able to get an automated response giving you payment instructions on how you can become a member of Club 1999. Yeah, all details are in front of your screens right now. So let's move on to what we can share on this channel. Now, the latest very explosive development in the Cambridge Analytica issue, scandal, yeah, unfolding story, is the revelation that Kenyans may be able to see, finally, the real results of the August 8th general elections. Now notice, I've chosen my words very carefully. I've said may be able to see. There's a possibility that Kenyans will be able to finally see the results of the August 8th elections. Now, how is this going to be possible? Okay, the British government is seeking a court order to seize the servers of Cambridge Analytica. Okay. Now, at the time of making this recording, I had not yet been able to confirm whether they'd been able to get that court order. Okay. But chances were quite high that they were going to get it. Now, when you have a court order to seize servers, what you're actually seizing is every little bit of information about the organization and the investigation. Now, remember, the investigators will be looking for evidence of illegalities. And in this kind of probes, yeah, they tend to get very intensive, very detailed. And they will involve each and every client handled by Cambridge Analytica. Okay? Now remember, this organization has had this client in Kenya both in 2013 and in 2017. And in the video released, okay, which is in the public domain, you will know that the company, a very senior person in the company says in the video, that they did everything for Jubilee, including writing speeches, rebranding twice, etc., etc., everything, strategy, everything. Now, there are unconfirmed reports that the Cambridge Analytica servers are the very same servers IEBC were using. Okay, they were sharing servers. Now, there's a very high probability that this information is correct. Now, we have already said that Cambridge Analytica have confessed, yeah, in the video. Of course, they didn't know that the video was being taken, but they confessed they did everything, yeah, for their clients in Kenya. Now, with this in mind, it would be highly unlikely, very highly unlikely, that Cambridge Analytica would be involved in everything else, but would have no part in the electoral fraud that Kenyans saw. The probability would be very high, and evidence of that would be on the servers. Okay? And this theory becomes even more compelling when you consider the fact, that it is on record as evidence in the Supreme Court that a mathematical formula was used. And that mathematical formula multiplied the votes of Uhuru Kenyatta for every single vote Raila Odinga got. Even if somebody was very, very careful, it is highly unlikely that they would fail to leave evidence of this on the computers. And if this is true, if this is correct, anybody looking for evidence will want to corroborate that evidence with what is in the IBC servers. Just makes sense. And if the server is the same, this will be easy to do. And it will become public because the whole purpose here is to find illegality. And when illegalities are found, what happens? People go to court. And when people go to court, what happens? The information has to be made public. Yes, sometimes judges hear certain sections of the evidence in camera, but under very exceptional circumstances. And to be honest, I don't see those circumstances in this particular case. Be as it may, there are some very explosive, earth-shattering revelations on the way for the Kenyan public. The Kenyan public had better brace itself for some very explosive information coming from the United Kingdom. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.